Rodgers case since July 3rd, 2015, the last day she was seen alive. Brooks Houck told police that they were at his family's farm and went home together, but the next morning she was gone. Then Sheriff Ed Mattingly announced Crystal was presumed dead on October 16, 2015, and declared Brooks as the main suspect. Then last July and August, hope was renewed. Remains were found July 23, 2020 on farmland in Washington County, Kentucky, near the Nelson and Marion County border. The new evidence was quickly sent to the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia to be tested and identified. Then, just 2 weeks later, on August 6, 2020, the FBI served warrants to search Brooks Houck's home, his brother Nick's home, and the family farm.
They had the hood of his truck open and going through under his hood. They're going through everything.
Dozens of federal agents walked in and out of Brooks's house as he calmly mowed the lawn outside. The IRS also showed up carrying out boxes and file cabinets full of documents. That search went on for 2 days in Bardstown.
We want to get it right. We want to ensure that that our part in this investigation, that we are doing everything we can to solve the
boyfriend
case.
That she lived with. They're in their 3-bedroom suburban home. Brooks Houck is with us. So Brooks, you go to bed and she's still playing games on her phone. The next morning around 8 o'clock, you notice that she's missing. Did you report her missing?
No, ma'am.
Why?
That is a great question, and one that I definitely want to hit the public and the media. I was not in the least little bit alarmed in any way, shape, or form. We have had a stress relationship at times, and one of the ways that Crystal has always chose to cope or to deal with that is by going to a young woman's name, Sabrina, that is her cousin, her dad's brother's daughter, whom she's very close to. And she spent the night there on several occasions.
When you say several, do you mean 1, 3, 20?
In the neighborhood of 4 to 6.
Okay,
like that.
Tom and Sherry Ballard, were you aware of that? Do you know who Sabrina is?
Yes, ma'am.
That's my niece.
Okay. Did you know that she goes and spends the night over there when she's having an issue at home?
I've known probably one time.
Right. Okay, I want to go back to Brooks Houck, who was the last person to see her alive. Brooks, did you go on to the July the 4th get-together that day?
Yes, I did.
Even though you didn't know where she was?
Well, I was expecting, I'd putting in a phone call that morning and then around lunch. And usually the maximum period of time that she has stayed gone has only been like a day to a day and a half at the most. And as a result of that, I thought that she would.
Did you try to call her?
Us. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, ma'am.
Did you try to call her during that time?
Not while I was there. There at the 4th. I called her prior to leaving to head in that direction. Yes, ma'am.
Some people have accused you of not being involved enough in the search efforts. What's your response?
That is a great question, and one I certainly appreciate you asking me. And that is all of my efforts in searching for her have been done behind the scenes with the Nelson County Sheriff's Office.
Like what?
Detective Snow, who's leading the investigation, and Jason Allison, who's a deputy there assisting him, along with the Kentucky State Police Agency, post number 12. So
well, my question was what you had been doing with them, but let me ask you this. I know that you agreed to take a polygraph. Did you pass?
Because of the way that the lines or whatever were on the thing, they determined it to be what's called inconclusive. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but they did tell me it does mean that I wasn't lying or I didn't pass it or I didn't fail it. They just ruled it inconclusive, and that's exactly the way that it stands. I've been 100% completely honest with everyone. I've been 100% cooperative in everything that has been asked of me. I've not asked for any kind of legal advice or assistance or an attorney of any nature. I'm 100% completely innocent in this, and I have exhausted my efforts with the law enforcement agencies to gather all the facts necessary to allow me to have a clean name again. And that's very important to me. I have not responded to a lot of the negativity and all this animosity because I want the emphasis to remain on Crystal's safe return home, and that's where I want it to stay focused in that area rather than dealing with any of these animosity.
Well, Vicki, just before 5 this evening, Danny Singleton was arrested at his Bardstown area home, charged with perjury. That's lying to investigators while under oath. Police won't offer specifics, but they tell me Singleton is a longtime employee of Brooks Houcks. That's Crystal's boyfriend and a suspect in this case.
I know I'll be happy when it's over, so we can have some kind of closure. I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's just hard on everybody.
Tommy Ballard reluctantly admits knowing he won't see his daughter again alive. Still, he's desperate to find her and bring her home. And 5 months after Crystal Rodgers, a Bardstown mother of 5, was last seen, he now believes he could be closer to doing that. On Wednesday, the Nelson County Sheriff's Department announced the arrest of Danny Singleton after a grand jury indicted him on 38 counts of perjury. Investigators say Singleton lied early on in the investigation when he was questioned about Rodgers' disappearance.
I hope in a couple of weeks that, they can solve this case. I'm hoping Danny will tell him something if he knows something.
Singleton is a longtime employee of Brooks Houck, Crystal's boyfriend, who was named as suspect in the case in October. He's the last person investigators believe to see her alive on July 3rd. While Houck's brother Nick was fired from the Bardstown Police Department that same month for interfering in the investigation, he has never been named a suspect. Ballard believes Singleton is the only person outside Houck's family that could provide investigators with valuable information, and he says he's willing for prosecutors to offer him a plea deal.
If it would bring my daughter home, I want them to work with Danny and do everything they can.
And he hopes Singleton is willing to cooperate. Ballard says while he was Brooks Houck's employee and right-hand man, he was his daughter's friend.
My daughter, Crystal, went and picked him up when Brooks wouldn't go get him after work and took him home and took him places. You think he would have a heart for Crystal?
Tonight, Singleton remains behind bars at the Nelson County Jail on a $200,000 cash bond.
Though police aren't releasing any information regarding the search, family members are confident that LMPD's underwater search and recovery team was here at Melody Lake searching for Crystal Rodgers.
I just hope that something good comes and we get some type of closure. I'm hoping for the best. Well, my family's going through a lot right now.
Melody Lake ranges from 4 feet to 15 feet deep, and it is between 30 and 40 acres. It is surrounded by occupied and empty vacation homes. Crystal Rodgers' family members watched anxiously as LMPD's dive team went in and out of the water. They're desperate to find out what happened to the mother who vanished more than 3 weeks ago.
I mean, it makes me feel better knowing I see them out here trying to do something. It makes me feel a lot better.
Rodgers' father, Tommy Ballard, along with hundreds in the community, have searched Washington and Hardin counties, as well as parts of Bardstown. But without the proper equipment, he says they were unable to search the lake. He has not returned to work since he realized she was missing.
Are you hoping she will be found today?
Yeah. I do. I hope.
Rodgers' boyfriend was the last person who saw her on July 3rd. He has not been named a suspect in the case. Ballard says Melody Lake is not too far from his daughter's boyfriend's family farm.
I'm not accusing him. It's just all the lies he's told us.
A $71,000 reward for information is still out there as they continue their search.
Just hope that whoever's behind all this mischief, comes out and steps up.
Bring her back to us.
Last Friday evening was the last time 35-year-old Crystal Rodgers was seen. She has been missing ever since, and the search is on to find her.
We've searched rivers, creeks, woods, anything we can find. We've searched the entire BG. We haven't come up with anything yet.
Crystal's 2007 maroon Impala was found along Bluegrass Parkway Sunday, abandoned with a flat tire, her purse, her phone, her keys, and diaper bag still inside. Crystal is the mother of 5 children.
She's got little kids, you know, and they miss their mama. Her little boy's at home, and she's never been away from him.
A prayer vigil was held Wednesday night in an effort to bring hope and comfort to Crystal's family. Crystal's mom and dad are offering a $40,000 reward to anyone who offers information that brings Crystal home to them.
We want her.
Crystal's mom, Sherry, tells us the Nelson County Sheriff's Office is staying tight-lipped about their investigation, but say the Sheriff's Office did tell them Crystal's last phone call was made on Friday at 7:16 p.m. But that information still left them with more questions than answers.
Only the time, not who called her or who she called, you know, who she may have called.
Crystal's parents say they will not give up hope that their daughter will soon come home to them.
If she is watching us, she's not out there to where she can just come to us. If she's out there, it's against her.
This is a live look above the scene from the WLKY Chopper HD. Carolyn Callahan has been on the ground in Nelson County all day. She talked with investigators and Crystal's parents. Carolyn.
Eric and Vicki, there is a sense and a feeling of nervousness here at the staging area. We're about a mile and a half from where this search is taking place, and Crystal's Rodgers family are hoping that they find out soon what's going on and if anything has been found. They say this is the biggest search they've seen for their daughter in more than a year, and they're hoping it's this search that brings them answers. From WLKY News Chopper HD, you can clearly see the effort in the search.
We are searching the farm of Rosemary Houck, who is the mother of the suspect, Brooks Houck, and we're searching the farm adjacent to it, right next door to it.
This is the 3rd time a search warrant has been executed on the farm, and Crystal Rodgers' family hopes this is the search that brings their daughter home.
We want closure, and we've been waiting for this for a year, and like I said, I'm not giving up till I find my daughter.
The area to search is huge, approximately 300 acres. Crews are spending a lot of time in the water.
We're just focusing differently this time.
Rodgers' parents, Tommy and Sherry Ballard, notice the difference. Case seems to be picking up steam lately. Earlier this month, warrants were served on Brooks Houck's brother, Nick, and their grandmother, Anna Whitesides. Whitesides' attorney says investigators were looking for vacuums or any other items that could be used to clean a car. Investigators believe a car Whitesides used to own might have been used in the crime.
They did tell me they hadn't quit. They were still working, and evidently they are, so I mean, we're happy.
Rodgers' family is ready for answers.
I mean, we know it's probably not going to be good, and we just need some closure.
Behind the brick walls, Brooks Houck answered the detective's questions.
What do you think happened? I'm shocked. I do not know.
Days after his girlfriend was reported missing, he told the detective he last saw Crystal after a night at his mom's farm. It was late, and they were at the home they shared.
I went to bed immediately.
Brooks said he couldn't explain how her car ended up on the site of the Bluegrass Parkway.
I guess the biggest problem that I have is that most women are not going to walk away from their purse and their cell phone in a car.
I agree with you.
Brooks answered questions, and then he answered his phone.
Can I get this?
Sure.
It was Brooks' brother on the other end, Bardstown police officer Nick Houck.
I know you told me innocent people have got jammed up, but if you're telling me to leave, I'll get up and leave. If you want me to.
And then the interview was over. Taking his brother's advice, Brooks left the interrogation room.
That kind of injected himself in a way that I didn't like. Ethics and integrity sometimes are all we have, and I didn't think he displayed a good example of either.
It didn't sit right with Nick's boss, the Bardstown police chief. And then, when Nick refused to talk to investigators, Chief McCubbin had had enough.
But I said, I am going to the mayor as soon as you leave this office, and you are not going to wear a badge. You do not deserve to be a police officer. And he was very okay. I thought, wow, okay.
Nick was fired from the Bardstown Police Department on the same day his brother, Brooks Houck, was named the main suspect in Crystal Rodgers' disappearance. It was October 2015, and under a different sheriff, though newly elected Sheriff Raymond Penaroa stands by the naming of the suspect.
I would say he's still the main suspect in the case. Nothing has changed in the investigation that leads us to believe anybody else is the main suspect.
But Brooks has never been charged.
What people don't understand, or the misconception is, yes, we can go make an arrest today, but if we don't have what we need, we go to trial and he walks out that same day and says, yep, I did it. You can't charge him. It's double jeopardy. So the main part is you got to get your evidence, your ducks in a row, and once you have that, you'll move forward with the case.
Because moving forward is important. But this sheriff says more than anything, he wants to get it right.
I believe it's what we do, our job, and I believe the family deserves that. We may not have a body, but at the end of the day, closure for them, closure for this town.
Dan, they searched the house as well as a car parked outside. Police saying nothing about what, if anything, they found as they try to retrace her steps.
This morning, search teams in Kentucky still desperately looking for any sign of this missing mother of 5. Police finding only one major clue: her car on the side of a highway with a flat tire. Her keys, purse, and uncharged cell phone still inside.
We're not gonna give up. We're just gonna keep searching.
Rodgers' sister sharing her concerns that Rodgers' live-in boyfriend, the father of her 2-year-old son, Brooks Houck, may know something.
Just don't add up. You just don't go to bed one night and not know that she's gone and then not worry when she left the baby. He has not offered once to search or help or do anything for the family.
Police say Houck has been cooperative. He went on HLN's Nancy Grace to defend himself.
Some people have accused you of not being involved enough in the search efforts. What's your response?
I'm 100% completely innocent in this.
Today, this small Kentucky community keeping signs in their yards and prayers on their lips, optimistic they'll soon be answered.
She's going to come home to us. We love her.
Right, Doug. Houck was arrested last month on felony theft charges and spent one night in jail. He pleaded not guilty, though, to those charges in court today. This arrest has nothing to do with Crystal Rodgers, but her family made their presence known during his court appearance this afternoon.
Commonwealth versus Brooks Houck.
Brooks Houck came to court Thursday with only his lawyer by his side, but the gallery was full. Friends and family of missing mother of 5, Crystal Rodgers. She disappeared 3 years ago. Houck is considered the main suspect in her case.
It's hard really to look at him, but I know I have to sometimes. I'm not going to let him intimidate me.
Houck is facing felony theft charges. Police say he stole shingles from Lowe's earlier this year. This case completely different from Crystal's and under investigation by a different agency. But Crystal's family holds out hope that her case could be closer to closure.
I know it has nothing to do with my daughter, but it does show what kind of person that Brooks Houck is. So to me, that's very important.
3 years without answers in her daughter's case has been difficult for Sherry Ballard. But she says she knows one day she will sit in the Nelson County courtroom getting justice. Every morning, the sun rises above Bardstown.
It's so hard.
Just like the day before, just like the days to come.
He was just my world.
For Tommy Ballard, the sun rose for the final time on November 19th, 2016.
You know, I have people tell me that God has a plan for everything and everything happens for a reason. I don't know that I believe that. Why would God want...
Days before Thanksgiving, Tommy and his grandson got into his red pickup truck. Heading to the family property, it was an early morning hunting trip. Sherry Ballard saw them out the door.
And I I remember going back to my bedroom, and on the way to the bed, you know, I just said, God, look over them in the woods today. And I said it out loud, you know. I guess I was talking to God out loud, and I laid back down. And it was probably 25 minutes maybe, I got the phone call.
A phone call from her frantic grandson.
And he was so upset, and he's like, Mama, Papa's been shot. I was panicking, you know, I was trying to throw my clothes on and get ready, and I went in the bathroom. I told Trenton, I said, I'm gonna call 911.
Calling for help and then racing through red lights, Sherry was desperate to be by her husband's side.
And I ran over and I knelt down to Tommy, and I shook him. And I just begged him to get up. He was just laying there.
In the middle of his property, a property he knew so well, Sherry shook her husband.
I mean, there was no blood, no nothing. So I kept shaking him. And the last time I shook him, he had blood come out of his nose. And that's when they pulled me off of him. I know he was gone when I got there, but it didn't hit me. I didn't realize that. It's still hard for me to realize that today.
Kentucky State Police swarmed the scene as Ballard friends and family lined the drive. A single shot through Tommy's chest ended his life. At first, officers called it a hunting accident, and Sherry called that a disgrace.
This is my husband, and this is a murder, and you know it. And you're saying it's a hunting accident? No, we are still looking for answers.
4 years after her husband was murdered, shot in front of their grandson while taking the little boy hunting, Sherry Ballard is still fighting for justice. Tommy Ballard was killed on the family's hunting land near the Bluegrass Parkway just 16 months after his daughter, Crystal Rodgers, was reported missing.
He promised the kids he would bring their mom home, and he never gave up on that.
All he wanted was to bring his daughter home.
The loss of her sister and father and missed milestones, a wedding without a daddy, a child born never knowing his grandfather, proving time really doesn't heal all wounds. But Brooke Bryan says her family continues drawing strength from their faith and community.
And I know everybody thinks about us, and it means a lot to us. And don't give up, because we're not.
The FBI announced they were taking the lead on the disappearance of Crystal Rodgers back in August. That investigation, the family says, has brought new hope, not only for Crystal's case, but Tommy's as well.
It's very hard for me to sit and wait, but I know the end result is going to be worth it. So I sit and I wait. And I think if they find who was guilty for Crystal, then I think they will have justice for Tommy too.
Months after the FBI returned to multiple locations linked to Crystal's disappearance, the family continues to have regular contact with agents. Ballard thinks the justice her husband pursued for their daughter for 16 months is coming, and coming soon.
That's really hard for me to know that he's not going to be. But I know
federal search warrants in Bardstown on Thursday, including here on Pulliam Avenue, where neighbors woke up to a loud noise.
And I heard 2 loud bangs, sound like grenades.
A few hours later, the FBI announced it was taking over the Crystal Rodgers case, the Bardstown mother who went missing 5 years ago. Ted Hirsch was outside getting ready to leave for work when officers descended in his neighbor's house.
Over I seen lights. I heard on the intercom people telling it that was FBI, come out with their hands up. They said it twice.
The The house on Pulliam Avenue belongs to Nick Houck, the brother of the only named suspect in the case, Brooks Houck, Crystal's former boyfriend. Nick Houck was fired from the Bardstown Police Department for interfering with the investigation.
And it really makes you wonder what goes on in your neighbor's house or just 2 doors down.
Around 150 state and federal agents focused on the 2 other locations as well, including the home of Brooks Houck on Glenview Drive. IRS agents spent the day hauling out boxes, hard drives, and guns. The 3rd location was the Houck family farm, which sits on Pascal Ballard Lane. It's been searched multiple times before. It's also the last place Rodgers is thought to have been seen alive.
It's absurd. I think there's 5 kids wondering what happened to their mother, and her mother or her family wondering what happened to them.
Those like Hirsch say it's a relief to see action on the Rodgers case. The FBI telling WLKY they plan to conduct more than 50 interviews in Bardstown.
More information in the disappearance of Crystal Rodgers. The FBI released 2 new photos showing 2 vehicles of interest in the Rodgers case. FBI spokesperson Tim Beam said the drivers of the vehicles may have important information related to her disappearance. Rodgers was reported missing by her mother 5 years ago. The only suspect ever named was her boyfriend at the time, Brooks Houck, with whom she shares.
Because the FBI has now taken over Crystal's 5-year-old case, but also because they're celebrating a birthday, the birthday of Sherry Ballard, Tommy Ballard's sister. Sherry was murdered more than 40 years ago. Someone was arrested in that case, but it was the first of many tragedies to rock this family. Tonight they tell us they feel closer to justice than ever before.
I know Tommy, Sherry, and Crystal are looking down on them and saying, it's over. We're taking care of this today. Justice will be served.
Crystal's mom, Sherry Ballard, welcomed us into her home, but she wasn't quite ready to talk on camera. Instead, she asked us to share how grateful she is for the years of support and prayers. She says she thinks they may finally be working. Members of Team Crystal, the group organized early on to help search for the missing mother, say they're hopeful too.
I've cried and I've prayed all day today that today will be the day of justice for the Ballard family.
Patricia Johnson remembers searching early on with Tommy Ballard. They walked woods and searched water. They hoped to find something. They never imagined it would take 5 years.
It would be the world, to finally see that family, to get justice. They deserve it. They have been through so much. And, no family should have to have went
For
through
detectives
what they
with the Nelson County Sheriff's Department, the Crystal Rodgers case is heating up with several new tips since Wednesday.
Somebody knows something.
A Bardstown mother, Crystal Rodgers, missing since 2015. Her father, Tommy Ballard, shot and killed a year later. Both mysterious cases still unsolved.
Do you think the 2 cases are linked?
Yes, 100%.
Wednesday, Sherry Ballard appeared on the Dr. Phil show begging for help to find the truth about her daughter and husband, and it triggered memories.
Even while the show aired, we had tips come in.
Nelson County Sheriff Raymond Pinaroa didn't have an exact number, but says the lead detective is now investigating several new tips.
We've gotten tips from Texas all the way to California, so it's from East Coast to West Coast.
Kentucky State Police is investigating Tommy Ballard's death, while the sheriff's office is in charge of the Crystal Rodgers case.
We've been on the right path. It's just a matter of time of the evidence, that one piece that we need to point the finger and say you're under arrest.
The only person to have ever been named a suspect in Rodgers' disappearance was her then boyfriend, Brooks Houck, but he has never been charged. As the investigation continues, the sheriff is going to hire a new detective dedicated to this case.
I've got 2 experienced detectives that are interested.
Sherry Ballard says the progress gives her hope and sends the message they're not giving up.
I think we're very close. I think we're I can't say a timeline, but I think we're
Discovery from the FBI making this search feel even more real for the Ballard family, the community, and even the Nelson County Sheriff, who worked this case for 5 years before the FBI took the lead.
I'm getting goosebumps, and at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't matter who solves it as long as it gets solved.
From 5 houses down, the Nelson County Sheriff is doing his part. running a roadblock, protecting the integrity of the FBI's investigation.
Until the FBI tells us they're done. We're here for the long haul.
We don't know what the FBI found at the search site, only that it's an item of interest recovered from underneath a driveway on a property with ties to Brooks Houck. Houck owned the property when Crystal Rodgers went missing. He has since sold it, according to public records. It's also the same property where a cadaver dog hit, while Team Crystal searched the spot 5 years ago.
The fact that they're back searching in that area tells me maybe we had a clue, but we just couldn't find what we were looking for.
Doug, the big news just into our newsroom and just onto my cell phone is an update on those possible human remains. We can now call them human remains discovered in Nelson County at the end of July. Until now, the lab in Quantico, Virginia has been working on those remains, but just moments ago, they told us that they have the first forensic report back and they do not have an identity, but they're telling us now that they do believe the remains belong to a woman. They can tell us the age is estimated to be between 24 and 82 years old. Stature is estimated to be between 62.6 inches and 70.9 inches. Important to remember here, they will not be able to positively identify this person until the DNA analysis is complete, and that has not happened just yet. I am at FBI headquarters in Louisville, where we sat down one-on-one with the assistant special agent in charge to talk about this case. We talked about everything from these remains and what's taking so long to the other Bardstown cases and if they could possibly be connected. All of this came just hours after a search at Crystal Rodgers' storage unit. Sifting through pictures, papers, toys, boxes and boxes pulled out from the last place Crystal Rodgers put them. Sherry Ballard says this is the first time any law enforcement agency has searched the space. The FBI walked away with a box labeled evidence, and in an exclusive one-on-one interview with WHAS 11, the assistant special agent in charge says over the last 2 weeks, evidence is something they've collected a lot of.
We did collect a substantial amount of evidence during the search warrants that we hope will help lead to a conclusion in this investigation.
We asked the FBI why they got involved.
We as the FBI have a lot of resources that we can bring into this type of investigation between resources. We brought in a lot of resources from Quantico, from our lab. Some of the evidence that's collected, it'll end up going to the FBI lab to be analyzed.
The timing, pure coincidence, they say, that they announced their investigation within weeks of the discovery of human remains in Nelson County.
Because we have been involved in this investigation for more than a year, and it took a lot of planning to execute these search warrants in Nelson County. And it was really happenstance that these remains were found shortly before we executed the search warrants.
As for the identity of those remains, FBI says they're still working to determine it, calling it complicated, but promising they would not leave a family waiting if they already knew. We also asked about the other unsolved Bardstown cases, like ambushed officer Jason Ellis and Crystal's dad, Tommy Ballard. Do you think solving one of these cases could bring answers in the other ones?
Nelson County is a small community, and I think that solving any of these cases can absolutely potentially bring resolution to the other ones.
They say they're getting new tips on all of the cases and following promising leads.
It is very rare to have all of these types of cases, which are potentially connected in a small community like Nelson County.
All right, before I end the video, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. There is so much going on with Crystal Rodgers' case, and there's two other Bardstown, Kentucky cases. One was a police officer, Jason Ellis, as well as a mother and daughter. And so I'm definitely going to do a part 2 to include those, because many people believe that all three cases are connected. And so one of the first things I want to talk about is that there was recently, no, that wasn't recent, sorry. In 2017, Crystal's I want to say her boyfriend, baby father, Brooks Houck. His girlfriend, her name is Crystal Maupin. Well, at that time, he's probably not even with her anymore. she was going around taking up the signs that Crystal's mom, Sherry, and other family members were putting on lawns in regards to Crystal's case. Well, she was going around picking them up and getting rid of them. And so she was caught doing that, and she received probation. I think it's like 2 years probation because of it. And it makes you think, and a lot of people say that this is basically like confirmation that Brooks had something to do with it. Now, this is alleged. I'm not saying that he did. I'm just saying that that's the sentiment for many people who, they looked at that case. Well, they looked at the situation of Crystal picking up these signs and getting rid of them. And it's like, what is your purpose? Why are you doing that? Did Brooks tell you to do that? She still hasn't explained why she did that, and it just makes you wonder. Definitely people believe that that's kind of like makes Brooks guilty, or Brooks, he didn't do it, he knows someone who did disappearance. So you don't know, but it's very suspect. And again, like I said, a lot of people believe that Jason Ellis, who was a police officer there in Bardstown, Kentucky, who was killed very similar to the way that Crystal's dad was killed. And then the mother and daughter, the Netherlands, who the mother was a school teacher. And so it's said, well, it's a rumor that Jason Ellis was killed because he was closing in on whoever was running the show on the police force. So, there's a rumor that the police were, I don't know, maybe doing some nefarious stuff, perhaps running drugs or something like that, or doing something, of that stature. So then so they believe that that's why Jason was killed. And it kind of reminds me of that Chillicothe, Ohio, the women there, the 8 women that went missing, and how many people believe that the police were involved with those murders. And so the Netherlands family, the mother and daughter, people believe that they were killed because the mother knew who was bringing drugs into the school system. And people believe that Crystal was killed because she was going to leave Brooks and that she knew too much. And that Crystal's father was killed because he figured out the whole entire thing and that he was ready to go to the feds with what he learned. And so that's a speculation, and that's rumors that's been going around. It's alleged. Don't know if it's true. It's just something that I thought I'd throw out there. Because again, like I said, many people believe that that Crystal's disappearance as well as the murders were all tied together. And it's weird because Bardstown, Kentucky is a small town. So if you speak to people there or you read things from people that's there, many people say that, a lot of folks know each other there. So what's going on in that town? And I did look it up on a map to see if it was like Chillicothe. I know with Chillicothe, Ohio, it's close to like some major interstates. And so people were believing that a lot of that stuff that was going on with the 8 murdered women there, because Chillicothe was like close to these interstates, and so it was like this low-key drug hub that drugs could be passed through. And so I don't know if that's the situation with Bardstown, Kentucky. Not sure, but it just gives a lot of similarities to Chillicothe, so it makes you wonder. The Oxygen docuseries, The Disappearance of Crystal Rodgers. And in that docuseries, there is a prison inmate who is anonymous, who wants to remain anonymous. And this inmate said that they heard that Crystal's remains were destroyed in an arson fire. And the inmate told them that she was cut up and her remains were burned to destroy evidence. And that this person, this anonymous inmate, said that they visit the site where Crystal remains were burned in 2016. And they also went on to say that her car was planted on the Bluegrass Parkway. The inmate also said that many people confided in him about criminal activity, including the details of Crystal's disappearance, as well as the other two murders, the shooting of Officer Jason Ellis and the double homicide of Kathy Niederland and her daughter. The inmate said that he spoke with law enforcement about the information, but they turned it around on him and allegedly wanted him to confess to at least one of the killings. So the inmate said that he refused to do that, and that communication with authorities was cut off. And he also explained that by trying to they were trying to connect him to the murders, that he believed police was attempting to stop him from disclosing what he knew. And so then there you go, another person that's alluding to police involvement, allegedly. So again, like I said, it just gives so many similarities to, in my opinion, to Chillicothe, Ohio murders. And yeah, so it makes you wonder. Sherry, Crystal's mother, is saying that the FBI, she believes they're going to soon have something or have a person of interest. But it makes you wonder, like, if the police is involved, is that why this case has taken so long to, be solved? And what sparked the FBI that in 2020 they started to look into the case again and start looking into all these different properties, doing searches and stuff? It really makes you wonder. They definitely know something, and I know it's police procedure that they're not going to put everything they know out there. Of course not, especially not to give a person heads up, whoever was involved with it. But it makes you wonder, is there some corruption involved in this too? But I will be doing a part 2 in regards to Jason Ellis murder and the Niederlands as well. So thank you so much for watching.